resistance is futile.
Boldly going where no show has gone before. This is The Week in Geek with David D. Squared and Brian Held. Heard live on News Talk 99.5 WRNO and the iHeartRadio app. Here are your hosts, Brian Held and D. Squared.
Greetings, people of Earth. This is The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
How are you, buckaroo?
Oh, man, everything's been great, dude. I had a wonderful week. I got to teach promo to a bunch of kids over at Wildcat Wrestling on Tuesday.
A bunch of kids?
Well, not kid. I mean, young wrestlers who were up and coming.
Young, wet behind the ear whippersnappers who just don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. And you beat them down, Brian?
Pretty much.
You DDT'd him?
As best I could with my words.
You're a verbal pugilist. Uppercut.
Right. But my thanks to Danny Flamingo for inviting me out to help those kids learn some promo. It was a lot of fun. And then saw the LPO last night.
What?
Yeah, the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. It was
You're so cultured. Like I went and watched a rugby match, hung out with Alfred Payton of your New Orleans Pelicans.
There you go.
And what did I do today? I went to a kid's birthday party.
Oh, well, yeah. All right.
But I got to play laser tag, so there was that.
There you go. All right.
Let's lay out the show. All right, so we fired Skungy. We're done with his ass. He is a gone pecan. So two segments of Top Nerd News, Brian.
Yep. And then we are going to air some of the panel that I moderated at Cyphacon in Lake Charles with Mr. Andrew Robinson. It was a fascinating panel. And then we'll put the whole thing up on Wednesday. I'll put that whole deal on our podcast.
Cool. So like extra content.
Yeah, no, it's like an hour-long panel.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap up the show like we always do with This Week in Geek History. But first... And now, your top nerd news stories from around the world, brought to you by NOLA Gaming Fest, June 14th through the 16th. For more information, go to iglfoundation.com. And now, your top nerd news stories. All right, Brian, what's topping us off tonight?
So, I think that we need to start with this. Of course, social media lost their collective minds over the course of the last week with the announcement.
That doesn't clear it up. They do that every day.
Right, with the announcement of Robert Pattinson being cast as the Batman. And just to clarify things, apparently he is in the running with Nicholas Hoult as both potentials to play this character, and the memes were just phenomenal, right?
I didn't catch any.
You didn't catch any?
No.
Aren't you looking forward to a sparkly Batman?
Oh, wait, you know what? I take that back. I did see like the Lego Batman, the disco ball Batman.
Okay.
And I got that. So
right. But
yeah, look, I'm not overly high on Pattinson. I'm not. I mean, are we going back to 12-year-old Batman? Is this Gotham where he's finally reached puberty and past it now? Because him and Nicholas, I like Hoult. I like Nicholas Hoult. I think he's done a lot of great stuff.
So here's the thing. We don't know the details as to, what the script is, what it's going to be about. But think about this.
Oh, God.
If either one of these guys were to be cast with Michael Keaton and they did Batman Beyond, how cool would that be?
It would make sense for them looking so young because, even though I like Nicholas Hoult, I think he's too young to play the role. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I mean, it's they're too skinny. It's like they could be wearing skinny jeans bat suit or something like that. But I mean, they look too young. You don't want a grizzled look like Ben Affleck was too pudgy and grizzly to be the Batman.
Yeah, but is this a possibility to slightly tie this into Gotham, right? Gotham just wrapped.
Yes.
Right? So, and you had a young Batman in there. Now you can launch it.
I'm sorry. Well,
no, that could launch into a movie if they wanted to go so far as to tie it together,
But that would require DC being able to string together coherent thoughts from TV to movies or from a movie to another movie because they can't do it, Brian.
Well,
they're incapable of doing it.
Thus far, you are correct.
But look, somebody did point it out, and I got a hearty chuckle from it, was that every time they cast a new Batman, you suddenly look back and like, man, the Batfleck was really awesome, because then it's like, when they cast, who was after Michael Keaton?
Oh man.
blonde dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God, from Lost Boys. I know, whatever. So everybody's like, oh, well, Keaton was the best. And then after him, you had. Oh my God, why am I in this business? I can't remember anybody's names right now.
No.
I need sugar. I'm diabetically crashing.
Okay.
Whatever.
But you're right. Like, pretty much all of the previous actors who portrayed Batman at one point in time, people said, they're going to suck. I can't believe they did that.
Right. And then they did it, and they did a bang-up job. I mean, look, nobody will beat Heath Ledger in the Joker, though. No one will ever beat that.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and move on. But since we're on the topic of internet outrage,
oh God,
and in light of the final episode of Game of Thrones coming up in a little while, there is a petition out on the internet to remake Game of Thrones Season 8 with competent writers. And when I last checked this was approaching 1.1 million signatures.
That's so insane to me. Like on Tuesday, it had 300,000. I'm like, all right, well then, it's just, people just being complainy. But now it's up to 1 million people. Look, it is a damn good show. It's a damn good series. It was well written. It still is well written. They've had to diverge from the source material. You are still dealing with, you have to condense everything to make it fit in a certain budget and a certain time frame. All of these episodes are about an hour, 20 minutes, so it's not like the rest of the seasons where it was exactly 58 minutes and things like that. Now they're all going over. So roughly it's 6 episodes, but it's more or less like 8 to 10. It's just that they've condensed it all in there. But you are wrapping up an entire universe in essence, or the entire world's population and all the storylines that have been divergent and coming together. People are going to be upset about something.
Well, I read a very interesting article because I'm behind on Game of Thrones. Okay. I only made it into season 4 before we got to this point. So regardless, the article that I read was about 2 different writing styles. One writing style where you approach a character and you let that character grow on its own and direct you as to where it's going to go.
Right.
And then the other writing style is very bullet pointed, like, I need to do X, Y, and Z for this story and kind of get an outline. And so what the article was essentially saying is that Game of Thrones was done sort of in this first style where the characters sort of wrote their own path, and now when we get to this final season 8, they're on the bullet point list of we've got to wrap up X, Y, and Z, go, and it's such a aberrant shift for the viewing audience to be like, what's going on? And the fact that it's short, right? It's only 6 episodes as compared to a normal 10 or 12. Yeah.
So a lot of people, I think, what they're really upset about, and the biggest complaint is that Daenerys Targaryen burnt down King's Landing. That's what everybody's pissed about. And that oh my God, how dare you do that to her? If you recall, Brian, about a month ago, I was talking about how I accidentally read an article, and I wish I hadn't, but I understood when I read her words that, Emilia Clarke was saying that people are going to be very upset with the way her character turns out because they have been invested in her. She has been the underdog. She's always been that chippy little Targaryen riding around on dragons, crushing the Dothraki horde under her heel, making them hers, and, taking the Unsullied and marching across the country and then crossing the Great Sea to take over the King's Landing. She murdered a whole crap ton of people to get there.
Yeah.
She crucified the masters by the hundreds. She has burnt down places before just because she's gotten here and she wants to be that beloved person. Okay. She's seeing now that she's not. Now, granted, is 6 episodes enough to really kind of, get into her mind? No, because they're tying up the bows, just like you're talking about with those bullet points.
Right.
But the seeds had been sown back in season 3. It was all, it is known, Brian.
Yeah.
It is known that she, the whole family's crazy, okay?
Well, and you bring up an excellent point that history is a good teacher in this instance, that the nobility are,
Well, she's the product of incest.
Right.
Just saying.
Are mentally unstable, incestuous, retrobates who go on murder sprees,
And the thing, though, is that even in this small sample size of this season, though, there were several poignant moments that they almost kind of stopped and someone would say something and the camera would pan to her. And she gave Gendry the Stormkeep, that because he's a Baratheon, he's the bastard son of Robert Baratheon. She gives him, a castle and a title. But does anybody like, yay, Daenerys, you're the greatest? No, immediately everybody's talking about how Jon's riding a dragon and either he's a madman or a king. And she's like, bitch, I just gave this dude a kingdom, and you're going to sit here and just talk about Jon? And those are little things. And then they kill her best friend, not Melisandre. That's the Red Queen, the Red Witch. But I don't know. They kill her best friend since she freed her as a slave.
Okay.
And Grey Worm, and that's another thing that kind of puts everything into context with Daenerys Targaryen, because Grey Worm loved her, who got killed.
Yeah.
And when they had thrown down their swords, Grey Worm was having none of it. As soon as Daenerys started burning people, he's like, oh, yeah, it's on. And he was pissed. He wanted to murder all of King's Landing. Daenerys had even said to Jon Snow that if they don't love me, then it's fear. And when he wouldn't kiss her, she's like, you know what? It's fear then. When she said that, it's fear then, you knew right then and there King's Landing was going to burn, and it is done. And now the question is tonight, in a little less than half an hour, we're gonna find out what's going to happen. I mean, honestly, Daenerys is going to die.
Yeah,
she is going to die, and then you've got the Dothraki horde and the Unsullied sitting there in King's Landing. So who's going to do it? Who sits on the throne? Those are all the questions. Tyrion Lannister, he's toast. I'm going to say it right now. He freed his brother. He's going to die.
All right.
Daenerys is going to kill little old Tyrion, who drinks and knows things. He's going to know what death is. He's going to find that out in little less than half an hour.
All right, fair enough.
Keep saying that.
And I'm looking at the petition page right now. I'm going to do a slight little rounding, 1.1 million signatures.
God, 1.1 million dumbasses.
Oh, well.
What's the plural of dumbasses? Dumb-eye? Dumbass-eye?
I don't know. Oh, geez, Dave.
What's next? Or do you want to take a break?
Oh, no? You know what? Let me issue a correction.
Okay.
And then we can come back and do more Top Nerd News after the break. We received an email from a listener who said to tell me that they're in the wrong movie based on the Black Samurai was not the only foreigner who became a samurai, and the later one was an American who became a samurai. The movie The Last Samurai was based loosely on. Right. So just, and I went back, I listened, I did misspeak. I meant to say that, this was the only black samurai, and I probably said, only foreign samurai or something along those lines.
Yeah, but I knew what you meant.
Right. But this gave me an opportunity to do some research. There is a Wikipedia article. I understand, take that with a grain of salt.
What?
But it lists 14 different foreigners, many Koreans who all the way back, Yasuke was 1579, so he was the earliest one, but are all around 1500s, 1600s. There were 14 different foreigners who got what we would recognize as the title of samurai. They were allowed to carry the daisho, which is the two swords, and which is daito and shoto, or the long and the short swords. Okay. Yes.
I'm going to go,
Okay, yeah. So, thanks for calling me out on that, and you were right. And plenty of guys who've gotten that title, and there we go. So
there you go. And now you know.
And knowing's half the battle.
Yo, Joe.
All right, guys, when we get back, more Top Nerd News. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
This Memorial Day weekend, join the Week in Geek at MobiCon, May 24th to the 26th at the Renaissance Mobile Riverview Plaza Hotel. Enjoy gaming, panels, shopping, an artist alley, charity auction, cosplay contest, as well as a cosplay parade and a pub crawl through downtown Mobile. Or meet some of this year's amazing guests, like cosplayers Alice Infinity Cosplay, Blue Knight Cosplay, Rikativity, and Tecton Props. For more information, go to mobilecomiccon.org. That's mobilecomiccon.org. Boldly going where no bar has gone before. The Bad Wolf is a bar, restaurant, and game shop all in one. You can't beat our specialty drinks, fresh food, and a variety of RPGs, board games, and miniature games for sale or rent. Stop by and hang out, or attend one of our regularly scheduled events, all in a non-smoking environment. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill is located at 2010 O'Connor Street in Gretna, or find us at badwolfbar.com. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill, where everybody knows your game.
Friends, is your morning tea just not your cup of tea? Then try the tea blends of Viridian Tea Company. At Viridian Tea Company, they sell blends guaranteed to make you think outside the box. With such blends as Tea of the Necropolis, Quantum Mechanics, Spider Witch, and many more, your tea experience will be out of this world. Look for the blends at Tubby & Coo's Mid-City Bookshop, located at 631 North Carrollton, or on Etsy at Viridian Tea Company. Try Viridian Tea Company today. Your taste buds will thank you.
You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, is now an audiobook read for you by Brian Held. It's a tale of a young girl from Tortuga who disguises herself as a boy and bluffs her way onto a pirate ship, chasing after her one true love, only to find adventure on the high seas. Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid is available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Get your copy of Jezebel Johnston today. NOLA Gaming Fest June 14th through the 16th at NOLA Motorsports in Avondale. We'll have all-day tournaments with your favorite games like Apex Legends, Super Smash Bros., Street Fighter, and more. Tabletop will be included too, featuring events from Magic the Gathering, HeroClix, and a host of demos to jump into. Casual, retro, VR gaming available all weekend with plenty of artists and vendor booths. Don't miss NOLA Gaming Fest June 14th through the 16th at NOLA Motorsports. Check out iglfoundation.com for more info.
This is The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. Follow them on Twitter at TWIG Radio. Do it now!
You're darn tootin' right they should, voice guy. Welcome back. This is The Week in Geek. I'm your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
All right, Brian. So before we went to break, we didn't really tease. We just said we were going to do more top nerd news. But one of the things we were talking about during the break is the whole. I want to phrase it right. You mean to tell me Netflix is going to make games, Brian Held?
So, yeah, this announcement popped up on our Facebook page, and a bunch of people were like, why? And the whole deal is Netflix is coming to E3 in 2019 to make video game announcements, and they're going to be doing a panel called Bringing Your Favorite Shows to Life, developing Netflix originals into video games. And I thought this was super cool because they're working on stuff. Let's see. They've released interactive content on Netflix with Minecraft. Their original content like Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, all this kind of stuff. The Choose Your Own Adventure deal, but they're even talking about the Stranger Things, doing like an 8-bit Stranger Things video game. Yeah, and which would be awesome.
Would it be?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure?
Well, Dave, we're begging for new content.
Yeah, but are we begging for 8-bit content?
There's plenty of 8-bit games out there that people love.
Okay.
Like Graveyard Keeper came out. I played that for a little while, and that was an 8-bit game.
Well, okay.
And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
You know, it got kind of click-festy, and I stopped playing it. But
well, you know, it is interesting that you bring up Minecraft. I don't know if I sent you the story, but Minecraft, Mojang is working with the Pokemon Go people, Nintendo, to start making some sort of real-world Pokemon Go-esque type game where you can go around and build Minecraft stuff in the real world, like that with that what do they call it? Not the VR, but whatever the hell that
augmented reality.
Yeah, thank you. And but you can like go to the park and you can go searching for pigs, or you can go like searching for things like that, and that's what they're working on. And I'm curious because I mean it's kind of going back to the well again with the way they've got Pokemon Go, which is kind of petered off a bit since that. I wonder if Detective Pikachu saw Spike in Pokemon Go play.
I don't know. I'd still know a few folks who play from time to time. But back to this Netflix deal. No, that's cool. They're, let's see. They had Umbrella Academy, which is still on my...
Yeah, but they're bandying about that they might do that.
Well, that it's ripe for content adaptation. And Bright. Do you remember Bright?
Oh yeah,
dude! How cool would an
RPG type game for that?
GTA, the friggin' Grand Theft Auto version of Bright.
Oh my God! Like, and you couldn't go into Elf Town,
right? Right.
New Yorks aren't allowed here.
And Netflix also has Mark Millar's Miller World properties,
right?
Which is a whole bunch of new content, comic book related. That would be super cool.
You say?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm craving new content all the time, Dave.
Are you craving Stone Temple Pilots?
No.
No. Star Trek Picard.
Did you want to talk about that?
We could. I new content. It just made me think of Star Trek Picard. We don't have to. It's just there's not a whole lot to go on except that apparently CBS just can't get their own head out of their own freaking ass and come up with something that's not so stupid. I mean, can they come up with something original, like a title? I mean, I like the fact that they're going to follow Picard into his golden years, okay, on Golden Pond. But Star Trek Picard? You can't call it Star Trek Golden Pond or something? The golden years? Something?
Look. Doesn't it make you excited to get your CBS All Access subscription?
You want me to come into that studio? I will come to that studio.
Yeah, no, I'm not even interested in talking about that. I want to talk about new content. And,
what?
The return of Harriet Tubman Demon Slayer is one of the articles we pulled up, and I thought this was very interesting. I didn't know anything about it.
I'd have sworn we talked about it, because I remember you and I talking about this, because it had been a Kickstarter before, so it's already out there. They did a sale run of them at Kevin Smith's Secret Stash comic book stuff up in New Jersey, and they sold out. And it's kind of loosely based in the vein of like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. So It's Harriet Tubman ferrying slaves through the underground railroad.
This. It's something like Django Unchained meets Mad Max Fury Road meets Roots.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, this is something that's pretty damn awesome.
Right.
It's you're taking a little bit of history, but you're rubbing some supernatural stuff into it, and you're making it, an interesting story. It's like kind of like I don't know, be careful. You just might learn something kind of deal. But it's based in history, and it's just, I find it fascinating to me, and we were kind of talking about how, we always want new content, and like this is something that's new content. And then I kind of got on it with the Twilight Zone, the new Jordan Peele stuff that he's been doing.
Yeah.
And I get on this soapbox every now and again, but you and I were talking a little bit about this before the show, where in essence you've got like, you want to make sure it's an inclusive thing, right? I mean, like with cons and just being nerds of all sorts of a feather, we all kind of flock together. And with, you've always seen like the what people call like the basement dweller comic book fans, where don't do this to my character, don't do this to that. But one of the things when I was reading about this article with the reboot of Twilight Zone is that they are making it more of a snapshot of America, with more inclusive Asian American, African American actors, just people of all stripes and colors,
right,
and sexual orientations. It's all in there, but it's not like in your face, like hey, here's a neon light, he's gay. It's just like, here's somebody who is thrust into this weird, Twilight Zone series, and this is the ancillary stuff. But it got me on that kind of kick where people keep getting so upset about all the stuff we're hearing about in Marvel Phase 4. You're going to have an LGBTQ character.
Yeah.
And But I mean, to finish off my thought, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if you were to take the mythology of somebody and suddenly make them gay with a snap, like Thanos snaps his fingers.
Yeah.
In things like the Twilight Zone, it's an organic thing. They're rebooting, but they're rebooting like an anthology type series. So they're putting a new spin. You're expecting to see it. You're updating it in essence. A reboot is an update.
Okay.
When you've got like this Phase 4 thing, and they're just suddenly going to make Iron Man gay. I mean, we don't know what the hell they're doing. We really don't. I mean, it's all we're just speculation here. But I think what gets me is that I want to see it organically done. You know, I want to see it through the movies. I don't want somebody like what they did to Sulu's character. Even George Takei was kind of pissed. He's like, what makes you think Sulu was gay? But they wanted to do that in this new universe. Now, if they had been dropping hints since the first one that Sulu, you know, had these feelings and it's in the story, okay, people would easily go along with that. But when it's suddenly like, boom, hey, you know.
Yeah, I hate the retreading or just the not retro, that's not the word I'm looking for, but just going back and changing it just for the sake of changing it.
Right,
it's like J.K. Rowling does it constantly every 6 months where she's, you know, changing things to retconning. That's the word I'm looking for. To Harry Potter, it's like to stop. Like you already baked the cake. All right, we're going to eat it like it is. All right, don't mess it up anymore.
And so then, you know, like, but she created new content, and so she made all of the new characters in the, you know, the Crimes of Grindelwald and the American houses and stuff like that. She put all that stuff in there, and that's fine. That's where it goes.
Yeah.
You know, when you're creating new stuff, that's where it goes. You want to be inclusive. We all want to do that, but it's like people don't like change. People do not like change.
True.
But if you give them something and they watch it grow and it becomes part of the story and they know the story, because one of the words I kept throwing at you when we were outside talking in the studio was that it's like the mythology. The mythology is already there for so many of these characters that are in the Marvel Universe. But some of the newer ones, some of the multi-dimensional guys on the multiverse stuff that could potentially happen, it's a different story. It's a different story.
That's true. Now, you do bring up a good point about mythology, because someone I was having a conversation with recently was very angry about of course, way back during the sale of Lucasfilm, when they established what's canon and what's not.
Right.
And they were like, hey, yeah, look, we're going to take these 6 novels at the time, and that's going to be canon. And then all of these other novels are mythology. And the guy I'm talking to, and this is just a couple of weeks ago, I'm having this conversation, and he was like super angry about that. And I was like, hold on a second. You do understand that the galaxy, the universe in Star Wars is very vast and wide, and everybody has a different take on the stories that they hear. That's what mythology is. And, you know, they're going to draw from it and re-enter it in as what they think is appropriate. I think that's pretty cool. And he was like, dude, you completely changed my mind about how that was. He was like not really angry about it anymore. I thought that was kind of cool.
There you go. If you can have a dialogue about things, but do not try to have dialogues on Twitter. Do not try to have dialogues on Facebook.
No.
You know, that's what a con is for.
Yeah.
You know, that's what a con is for. Yeah, these are where you have those debates, or a radio show.
Right. There you go.
There you go. See what I did there? Yeah. All right, Brian, we got to go to break. We are way behind.
All right, that's cool. When we come back, our panel with Andrew Robinson. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Boldly going where no bar has gone before. The Bad Wolf is a bar, restaurant, and game shop all in one. You can't beat our specialty drinks, fresh food, and a variety of RPGs, board games, and miniature games for sale or rent. Stop by and hang out, or attend one of our regularly scheduled events, all in a non-smoking environment. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill is located at 2010 O'Connor Street in Gretna, or find us at badwolfbar.com. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill, where everybody knows your game. You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
NOLA Gaming Fest June 14th through the 16th at NOLA Motorsports at Avondale. We'll have all-day tournaments with your favorite games like Apex Legends, Super Smash Bros., Street Fighter, and more. Tabletop will be included too, featuring events from Magic the Gathering, HeroClix, and a host of demos to jump into. Casual, retro, VR gaming available all weekend with plenty of artists and vendor booths. Don't miss NOLA Gaming Fest June 14th through the 16th at NOLA Motorsports. Check out iglfoundation.com for more info.
This Memorial Day weekend, join the Week in Geek at MobiCon, May 24th to the 26th at the Renaissance Mobile Riverview Plaza Hotel. Enjoy gaming, panels, shopping, an artist alley, charity auction, cosplay contest, as well as a cosplay parade and a pub crawl through downtown Mobile. Or meet some of this year's amazing guests, like cosplayers Alice Infinity Cosplay, Blue Knight Cosplay, Rikativity, and Tecton Props. For more information, go to mobilecomiccon.org. That's mobilecomiccon.org.
ProSe Productions is a leading independent publisher on the cutting edge of new pulp and genre fiction today. At ProSe Productions, you'll find fiction featuring fast-paced action and adventure, larger-than-life protagonists, over-the-top characters, and tight yet extravagant plots. ProSe specializes in prose books, anthologies, audiobooks, and more. Go to prose-press.com to find our monthly release schedule and more info about our great titles. ProSe Productions is your first-rate publisher of new pulp fiction today.
Welcome back to The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. Like them on Facebook at The Week in Geek Radio Show. Here are your hosts, D Squared and Brian Held.
Welcome back in. This is The Week in Geek. The voice guy stole my line, so I am your host, D Squared, along with
Brian Held.
All right, Brian, we've got something special for the listeners tonight, man.
Yeah, so recently we went to Cyphacon in Lake Charles, and I was fortunate enough to moderate the panel with Andrew Robinson. He plays Garrick in DS9.
Yes.
And it was a fantastic panel. And so what we're going to air here is about 12, 13 minutes of content from that panel. And then what I'll do, because the whole thing is an hour long.
Wow.
So I'm going to edit that and post it up on our, podcast on Wednesday.
Did he give any good sewing tips? No? No?
Spoilers.
Oh, bruh. All right, so what do we present our listeners with now?
This is the beginning of the panel with Andrew Robinson.
I bet in 50-some years you got a lot of stories.
Oh my God, I do actually, but you can't help it because it's such a ridiculous profession. I mean, you think of it, and sometimes, don't go so far over there. Yeah, but that's fine. But I don't want anybody, so we can sort of like keep it compact.
Mm-hmm. Keep it in the alphabet.
Keep it in the alphabet. Keep and go over in the alphabet. That's all right. You moved over one chair. All right. I forgive you. Oh.
See, I wonder why everybody thinks they're bad kids. They got to hang out at the back of the class. It's like, come closer.
Well, that's what I used to do. I mean, when I walk into a room, I usually go in the back.
Right.
I mean, for someone who became an actor, who's as shy as I am about human contact, it's pretty bizarre. But I think that's what happens. I think people become shrinks who really have a lot of problems in their lives, and who knows? But but it is a funny thing to be an actor. I mean, it's to make that as your life's calling. And I have no idea. Well, that's not true. Over the years, I have accumulated a few ideas about why, and what the attraction to that thing is. Because you start out, and it's like the usual, the cliche, and the cliches, like most cliches, has truth to it. That you start out saying, "Hey, look at me, pay attention, and I'm here," and especially if you had some bad times in your life and you've kind of been shunted aside, and weird things have happened, and you want to be recognized as a human being. But then that doesn't last long. The people who go into it, who are still into the profession because of that reason, that wears out, and because you have to at some point you have to offer something to an audience. I mean, if people are going to lay down their money to see you. There has to be some kind of substantial reason to be there, and that requires, I think, training. You train to be an actor, and you train to be an actor so that you can represent as much as possible a human being. And as I mentioned yesterday, I mean, the human being is the most complicated creature on earth. I mean, it's the most complicated organism, I think, that exists in this world. And it's complicated on so many different levels. And it's doing a disservice. I mean, as an actor, you're doing your audience a disservice if you're not giving that, as much delving into your humanity as much as possible. I mean, I know I'm talking like a teacher, and I have been a teacher, and I've been a professor, and I'm kind of a theater rat, and this is what I do, and this is what I know how to do.
Well,
don't go over too far over there. Okay. You'll give me. I'll have to go to the chiropractor.
Deborah, how are you? Come, sit closer. We appear larger. It's great.
Yes, that's great.
You bring up a good point. I've been fortunate enough to take a few acting classes, and it's something that it didn't occur to me, and I don't think it occurs to most people, is that we're ourselves every day, but once you're on a camera or on a mic or whatever, you start to become bigger, but you can't because you're trying to evoke a natural human emotion, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and to express real thoughts, real feelings, real sensations, and not manufacture them, and not pretend. And and you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference, even though consciously you don't know. There's the difference between when you're sitting, say, in a theater or watching a film. There's the difference between watching it like this and watching it like this. And when your attention comes forward like that, it's like something is happening, and you don't know what it is. You can't literally define what it is that's happening, but something is happening, and that there is a truth being told. I mean, there are a lot of skillful liars, in the world. I mean, not just in politics, but in acting, and people who can simulate that, the humanity. And you think, oh, wow, okay, that's kind of interesting, but can I truly relate to that? And then there are people who inhabit, who drop into themselves. And so the stories they're telling, I mean, as I said yesterday, I mean, take something like Dirty Harry, which was my first film, and playing a psychopathic serial killer. I mean, that's not me. I mean, although people thought it was me, but honestly, I mean, it was like I got some weird reaction to that. But that confused me even more because that's not me. But so how do I find that person? How do I find that action? And that's the craft. That's the skill of it.
My host and I, when we do our show, he's an improv guy, right? He always wants to be off the cuff. He never wants to be scripted, so to say. And that's one of those things is how do you deliver a script? How do you deliver someone else's words without it feeling stilted, right?
And Brian, that's probably the hardest thing ever. I mean, for instance, I'm doing a Shakespeare play right now as we speak, and that's the Mount Everest of actor training. How do you take iambic pentameter? How do you take 16th century English and make it sound like it's coming from you? And it is. I mean, there's a technical challenge. First of all, you have to learn to enunciate and to speak clearly, and not to swallow your words and all of that stuff that you learn in drama school. But then there's the other thing, like how do you play a king? How I'm playing Julius Caesar right now. I mean, as I mentioned, yesterday. How do you play Julius Caesar? How do you play the guy who was the ruler of, at that point, the known world? And it's like, and that's where the strangeness of being an actor comes from. It really does, because then you have to go to places that sometimes you'd rather not go to, like with the character of Dirty Harry. You have to like dig in and accept again your humanity and the fact that you have passions and desires that sometimes live in the dark side. Think about Garrick. Now I know that most of us are here about, because of Garrick. That was beautiful to play. I mean, it was just an absolute joy to play with Garrick. Is that Garrick had a very dark side, but on the surface, it was always kind of pleasant and polite and agreeable, and a smiling kind of, even a gentleness about him. The fact that he was a tailor, someone who stitches clothes and puts things together, and so forth. And he was a very good tailor, too, by the way. When you have the surface and then you have the underneath kind of going in opposite directions. But there was always a brutal, conniving calculation that was going on underneath. Always looking for his advantage. And saying anything that would give him that advantage. So to the point where most people were just sort of like put off guard and off balance with him, and he was able to manipulate them, with his lies, with his deceptions.
I have a sort of technical question. We interviewed John Wesley Shipp.
Right.
And he did a lot of like daytime soap type stuff. And he said that he'd come in, there'd be script revisions. He'd have to memorize 30, 40 pages of dialogue. Like how do you do that? How do you retain that much dialogue? Because I know in modern filming today, you can do a page and, okay, let's take a break. Let's go look at the next page, kind of refresh ourselves. How do you retain, especially on a play? Like, you can't stop in the middle of Shakespeare and.
No, but the great thing is nobody's going to come in with Shakespeare, like in the middle of your performance and say, something, we've rewritten this. I mean, and if they did. I couldn't do a soap opera now.
Yeah.
Because I just don't. I was a great memorizer. I could memorize. I've done one-man shows. I've memorized. 30, 40, 50 pages of just text, and that was not a problem. I can't do that anymore, unless I have several months. Simply that capacity in mind. Being at my age, it just diminishes.
Yeah.
But if I get a text, like here I played Prospero in The Tempest. And I needed that text because Prospero has every third line in the play. And so I needed that text several months before we started rehearsal. Because it is a mechanical thing. Muscle is a memory. And when you get to my age, which is that muscle, like the rest of your muscles, begins to atrophy.
Yeah.
But I can still do it. But it was really hard doing a soap opera when I was doing Ryan's Hope, below those many years ago. I mean, it's like you would the night before. You'd get a complete rewrite, And of course they have those prompters, off camera. But I could never, because of I don't know, I'm dyslexia or something. I could never read off of a prompter. If I forgot a line and I'm looking at and I go to the prompter, something in me said, "No, that's not the line. Wait, is that the line?" And by then, of course, you're dead in the water. Whereas other people who are pros, there are some guys who would just sort of like, kind of like pretend they were looking at you, and then they're just looking at the prompter and just doing the entire scene off the prompter. When I was working with Raymond Burr in Ironside, there are times when he would say, "I don't need you in the scene," and I said, "Really? Well, I'm in the scene." He says, "No, I don't need you." So if I was off camera, and he would just play the entire scene off the teleprompter. Wow. There was a point, last several years of his career, he just didn't learn any lines.
So is that the precursor to people talking to a tennis ball now with all the CGI?
That's right, exactly. And you see the politicians, and I'm thinking, God,
is that what they call a cliffhanger, Brian?
Yes, in the biz, that's a teaser, right?
A tease.
Yes.
Ooh, just like you.
Oh,
you dirty, dirty tease.
Yeah. So, like I said before, we'll go ahead and host that on Wednesday. You can hear the full hour-long panel with Mr. Andrew Robinson. It was great.
Look at you. So I hate this stupid button bar because I was going to play some Star Trek Next Generation to go out to the break. We don't have DS9.
We don't.
We don't have Voyager.
You better get on that.
It's been a long road getting from there to here.
Enterprise?
Could I play that? We could just sing it as we go to break, right?
Oh, no, please don't.
No. All right, fine.
All right, guys, stay tuned when we get back. We're going to close out the show as we always do with This Week in Geek History. You're listening to The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Boldly going where no bar has gone before. The Bad Wolf is a bar, restaurant, and game shop all in one. You can't beat our specialty drinks, fresh food, and a variety of RPGs, board games, and miniature games for sale or rent. Stop by and hang out, or attend one of our regularly scheduled events, all in a non-smoking environment. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill is located at 2010 O'Connor Street in Gretna, or find us at badwolfbar.com. The Bad Wolf Bar and Grill, where everybody knows your game. You've waited for it, and now it's here. Get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt and help support our show. These 100% cotton black t-shirts with the Week in Geek Radio Show logo are going fast. So don't wait. Go to twigradio.com and order your shirt now. Just go to twigradio.com and get your very own Week in Geek Radio Show t-shirt. $15 up to XL, $17 for 2X and 3X. That's twigradio.com.
NOLA Gaming Fest, June 14th through the 16th at NOLA Motorsports at Avondale. We'll have all-day tournaments with your favorite games like Apex Legends, Super Smash Bros., Street Fighter, and more. Tabletop will be included too, featuring events from Magic the Gathering, HeroClix, and a host of demos to jump into. Casual, retro, VR gaming available all weekend with plenty of artists and vendor booths. Don't miss NOLA Gaming Fest, June 14th through the 16th at NOLA Motorsports. Check out iglfoundation.com for more info.
This Memorial Day weekend, join the Week in Geek at MobiCon, May 24th to the 26th at the Renaissance Mobile Riverview Plaza Hotel. Enjoy gaming, panels, shopping, an artist alley, charity auction, cosplay contest, as well as a cosplay parade and a pub crawl through downtown Mobile. Or meet some of this year's amazing guests, like cosplayers Alice Infinity Cosplay, Blue Knight Cosplay, Rikativity, and Tecton Props. For more information, go to mobilecomiccon.org. That's mobilecomiccon.org.
ProSe Productions is a leading independent publisher on the cutting edge of new pulp and genre fiction today. At ProSe Productions, you'll find fiction featuring fast-paced action and adventure, larger-than-life protagonists, over-the-top characters, and tight yet extravagant plots. ProSe specializes in prose books, anthologies, audiobooks, and more. Go to prose-press.com to find our monthly release schedule and more info about our great titles. ProSe Productions is your first-rate publisher of new pulp fiction today.
This is Kate Mulgrew for the Week in Geek.
Just kidding. It's Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, the Major from Ghost in the Shell. Listen, or the Tachicomas are going to get you.
I don't want the Tachicomas to get me, Brian.
Well, then folks better listen in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Welcome back into the Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm D Squared along with
Brian Held.
Now, as always, we want to strongly urge you to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek. Check out our website at twigradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at Twig Radio and the Instagram's The Week in Geek. Now, Brian, how can people listen to this lovely show?
Well, if you missed any part of tonight's show or you want to catch your favorite part again, like that interview with Andrew Robinson, you can always find us on Spreaker.com or download Spreaker for your smartphone or tablet. We're also on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app.
And your mama's house.
There you go.
This Week in Geek History.
We're sending you back to the future!
Yes! Oh my God!
This Week in Geek History is brought to you by Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, read by Brian Held. Available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. This Week in Geek History.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Da-na-na, da-na-na,
So what I love about this segment, Dave, is that I have this entire list of all these...
I feel like a didgeridoo.
Yes, these historical items, and they're just little snippets, right? And so when I see something, it makes me want to dig in more, which is, I hope, what people do when they hear this. So this first item on the list is May 13th, 1976. Atari releases the classic arcade game Breakout. Yes.
I forgot. Which one is that?
That's the one where you've got the little bar with the ball and you're trying to break the bricks.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And, of course, that was a natural progression. So this is
they had all those paddle games. They needed, like, Pong paddles, right?
Right. So Pong preceded it. And this was basically, and this is where the research comes in, is they wanted essentially a single-player Pong is what they were doing. And Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak had a hand in developing this.
Really? In their garage?
Probably. I mean, that's where they were doing most of their work back then. But basically, Atari came to Steve Jobs and was like, hey, dude, we'll give you $750 if you create this game that we want. And if you use less chips to make it possible to make the game work, then we'll give you bonuses based on, like, percentages. Like if it's 10 less, then we'll give you $1,000 and type whatever. And so he was working on it, and he knew that Wozniak had designed some stuff that had very few chips in its design. So he told him, hey, dude, come help me out with this, and I'll cut you in for half. But he didn't tell him about the bonus.
What a jerk.
Right. So Wozniak came in, he made this design. It wasn't as compact as he wanted it to be, but it was definitely, I believe, under 100 chips that they used. And the dude got like a $5,000 bonus out of it, and he cut Wozniak in for $350.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's cold-blooded, man.
So,
That's just wrong.
Right. All right.
No wonder nobody likes Steve Jobs.
Right. Okay, next item on my list is May 14th, 1973. The United States launches Skylab 1, the very first manned space station. And it was the last launch of the Saturn V rocket, which at the time was the largest payload to date.
I feel like I'm having deja vu. They just can they get new names and stop numbering stuff? Because like we talked about Voyager, just like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah. Well, but this is Skylab, and it's just the
V'ger,
of course.
See.
Yep.
I feel like we just talked about V'ger. All right, let's move on.
All right. May 15th, 1997. Amazon.com releases its initial public stock offering under the NASDAQ. The symbol is Amazon, AMZN. So
amazing.
Yes. We should have got in on that back then.
Did you hear I saw it on the news, they're offering their own employees like $10,000 to quit and go open up their own delivery services so that they can get their packages out even faster.
Probably. I mean, that would be less overhead for the company because then you'd be maintaining your own employment stuff. It'd be all on you. They wouldn't have to worry about benefits. And they're really pushing for that same day delivery thing.
Yeah, because I mean they've got a lot riding on that. I mean, shoot, for $100 a year, you get all the movies and then free shipping and all that other jazz. Man, dude, it's pretty sweet.
It is. All right, next item on my list, May 16th, 1929. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences holds its very first Academy Awards presentation at the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, California.
Wow.
Yes. And what's interesting is that, let's see, the statuette was designed by Cedric Gibbons. He was the art director at MGM, manufactured by the Dodge Trophy Company of Crystal Lake, Illinois. It's 13 inches high, weighs 8 pounds, but the term Oscar wouldn't be used until later in 1931.
Didn't they use somebody's likeness or something wacky like that? And they got in trouble for it or something?
I don't remember that.
Oh God, I forgot the name of it. You know, they have all the Marvel superheroes, or all the superheroes battle to the death in that thing. Then they just had another one that I saw just this week. It's all the villains that fight each other, like to the death. And then there was like Deadpool and somebody else survived, and then they get transported up as winners, and it's just kind of like the Matrix thing with all the TV screens in the background.
Yeah.
And it's the Oscar guy. He looks like the golden alien Oscar. Like he's like, we have been having you murder each other for centuries just to kill you. And like Deadpool's like, this is some Westworld bleep right here, you know?
Right.
And so it's funny, just, you know which one I'm talking about, because they've got all the Jedis in it, all the Spider-Man, they're killing each other.
It's
Iron
animated
Man.
fan thing. Yeah.
And it's like they're in that dirt gladiatorial pit.
Yeah,
you know, and it's all cartoon stuff, but it's awesome.
The Ultimate Battle of Ultimate Destiny, I believe is what it's called.
Something weird like that. But then they have all the bad guys too. So they're like Darth Vader. They had just everybody. It was cool as hell because Harley Quinn won. Quinn won, like runs around with a baseball bat. We're bad guys, silly.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up winning, but so I don't know. That's the Oscar is the one who's making them all battle to the death.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right. See? Next item on my list, May 17th, 1902. Greek archaeologist Valeros Stias discovers an ancient mechanical analog computer in a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera. It will later be dubbed by the media the Antikythera mechanism.
Why am I just hearing about this now?
Oh, no, dude, it's been around forever. Archaeologists theorized the mechanism was designed to calculate astronomical positions, and the date of the device's construction is somewhere between, you ready, 150 BC and 100 BC. Its complexity is comparable to that of later 18th century clocks, though it's the oldest known geared device ever discovered.
Damn.
It's very cool. Yeah, you can look it up on the internet. People have
go old people.
Yeah. People have recreated it. It's pretty nifty device. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they weren't so backwards as we thought they were.
I know, right? Honestly, you have to honestly think that they had to be so more advanced. Just the basic, the way they were able to move giant slabs of limestone to build all these things. I mean, these guys just sit around going, if you put a little twerk here and da da, it's just like, it's amazing that. It's amazing. They had no calculators, no smartphones, no nothing.
Yeah, but Dave,
they had a rope and a dream, Brian.
I'm not going to say it, but it was aliens.
Aliens.
Right. Okay, last item on my list, speaking of aliens, May 18th, 1979. Directed by Richard A. Cola and starring Richard Hatch, Dirk Benedict, and Lauren Green, it is... Come on.
Say it again. I wandered off for a bit, sorry.
Richard Hatch, Dirk Benedict, and Lauren Green.
Oh, is that Battlestar Galactica?
The original Battlestar Galactica, which serves as the pilot for the original series.
It does. It was a horrible movie. Yeah. I mean, I still have it.
Right.
And they go into like this space disco. Boop, 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 wah, wah, wah. It was crazy, man. Makes the cantina look like it was really rocking.
Right. It was the 70s, Dave.
It was, man. Everybody had Space Fro.
Yeah. All right.
Space Fro.
Are you ready for some birthdays?
Sure.
All right, on the 13th, Stephen Colbert.
Hey, did you know that he likes Lord of the Rings?
Yes, I'm well aware.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Didn't know if anybody didn't know that.
On the 14th, George Lucas.
He did a thing with that other thing, TX 100, that movie.
THX 1138?
Yeah, whatever the hell it was. Yeah.
All right, let's see. On the 15th, Alexandra Breckenridge. She's in a whole bunch of stuff. She was in The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On the 16th, Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
On the 17th, Craig Ferguson.
Oh, yeah, he's like the late show. Yeah.
And on the 18th, Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. But, you know, it's interesting you bring up The Walking Dead because, Brian, I will be in Mobile this weekend coming up, right?
Yeah, you're going to be at MobyCon in Mobile. I will be at MomoCon in Atlanta. And Skungy will be doing some ridiculousness in Houston.
So here's the 1970s version of Battlestar Galactica to take us out.
Awesome.
All right. Always a pleasure, Brian. Till next time, keep your nerd flag raised high.
GFL.
Walton and Johnson, making mornings great on News Talk 99.5 WRNO FM, New Orleans. An iHeart radio station.